Hello there, so it's time for another hop tester beer, and this one is going to be with Harlequin hops. So these are one of the newest English varieties that have come out recently. I've been hearing a lot of good things about these. A lot of people saying that they're really delivering on the sort of big tropical fruity flavours and all the rest of it, which seems to be what they've been striving for with a lot of these new English varieties. So let's get into it and see if they're living up to the rep. So I'm not going to go through the full recipe this time, but I will put it up on the screen and there will be a link in the description to it, but it's basically going to be the same as the last one I did for the Nectaron hops. I did do a very small tweak to it though. I know I said I was going to keep it the same, but I felt like there could have maybe been a little bit more kind of aroma pushed out with the hops on the last one. So I've just nudged about 10 grams of the hops slightly further forwards to the whirlpool and the dry hop. So it's now 10 grams at 10 minutes, 10 grams at 5 minutes, and then 35 grams in the whirlpool and 45 grams in the dry hop. It's probably not going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, I just felt like I wanted to push as much of the hops towards the end or the late stages of the boil and the dry hop as possible, while still leaving a little bit in the boil additions, because I feel like you maybe get some sort of flavour notes and things out of those late boil additions that you might not pick up on if it's just sort of dry hop and whirlpool. Anyway, so that's how it's working, and let's open these hops up and see what we've got. So these are Harlequin hops, which I got via the malt miller. Malt miller have got quite a few of the new English varieties on there. I've got another one or two that I think I'm going to be trying out at some point soon, and they're quite reasonably priced as well. So certainly if you compare them to the big sort of American or New Zealand hops and all that kind of stuff, in some cases they work out about half the price. So these ones are under a fiver for 100 grams, I think. So aroma out of the packet is definitely promising for an English hop. They are quite pungent. I wouldn't instantly say massive amounts of fruit, but there's definitely fruitiness coming through there. There is a little bit of the kind of slightly more earthy, maybe green kind of hedgerow sort of characteristics that you might associate with English hops normally. But yeah, there's definitely a sort of very overripe kind of fruity aroma coming off of those as well, which is quite good. And then again, you may, well, almost certainly won't be able to see that on the camera, but the hop pellets themselves look quite nice, quite crumbly. Just give those a rub in the hand and see if we can get any more aromatics off of there. Nice sort of deep green leafy colour. There's a little bit of spice there as well, but yeah, definitely a kind of overripe. And I would say, yeah, maybe a bit tropical, a bit of an overripe kind of tropical aroma coming off of those. So, like I said, I won't be spending a huge amount of time talking about the recipe and all the rest of it, because I kind of covered that all in the previous video. Go back and check that out if you want to sort of know a bit more about the process of doing this and why I've designed the recipe as I have. So for now, we'll just get on with doing a bit of brew footage, and then we'll get to the important bit, which is the tasting. Let's go. Right, so here we have the finished product. This is the Harlequin Hop Tester beer. As you can see, nice clarity on it. Obviously looks pretty similar to the previous one. This has been about 2 months, I think, since I brewed this. So to be honest, I wasn't hugely keen on it straight away when it was first kegged, but it's definitely developed over time, and now that it's kind of crispened up a bit and had a little bit of time to condition and the flavours to kind of settle down a little bit, I am quite enjoying this beer. It's a nice golden ale. And let's talk a little bit about what the hops are bringing to the party. Just before we get into that, there was a slight difference in this one, not because of the recipe being changed, but because I used a different lager malt on it, and essentially I think the predicted gravity points from that were incorrect in Brewfather, because they were set quite low. I think 1034 ppg or something like that. I think it was probably the gravity points being wrong, because they were set quite a bit lower than all the other sort of lager malts that were on there for some reason. Anyway, no big deal. It just meant that basically my gravity was a few points higher than I was expecting, and as a result the beer came out at 5.4% instead of 5%. I don't think that's going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things, and certainly not in the kind of presentation of the hops on this beer. Anyway, let's get into actually tasting it and seeing what's going on. So on the aroma, there is definitely some fruitiness coming through on there, and also some kind of English hop character. I think I definitely do pick up on some of the kind of floral, maybe slightly spicy notes you might expect from some English hops as well. But as far as the aroma, if I was going to pick out any kind of particular fruit notes off this, I would say maybe some stone fruit stuff, kind of peachy nectarine sort of vibe going on there. I'm getting a little bit of a biscuity character off the malt as well, or maybe a cracker bread kind of thing. I'm not sure if I picked that up as much on the last beer. That might be down to using a different lager malt on this one. So this is Dingeman's lager malt rather than, I think it was an English lager malt I used on the previous one. So that might account for a slight difference in the way that the malts are presenting on the aroma. But yeah, smells nice. So again, flavour-wise, I do definitely pick up on this sort of English character there. There's a slightly earthy, sort of spicy, floral kind of back note to it. And then there's this fruity, I wouldn't go as far as saying necessarily sort of tropical, but I know it's in the description for this hop, but there is maybe some pineapple notes there. It's a kind of slightly sharp sort of pineapple, but then perhaps the stone fruit stuff as well. So maybe kind of apricot and peaches there again. It's not necessarily a really bright kind of, again, in the sense of like a tropical fruit flavour. It's, you could almost describe it as the fruit being slightly cooked, or almost, if you imagine the kind of flavour that you get from fruit in, say, like a crumble or something like that when it's been cooked down a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit like that. I don't know. That's a slightly weird description to use for a beer, but as far as the fruit flavour in it comes through for me, there's this kind of spicy earthiness, and then, yeah, I do get a kind of pineapple-y thing going on there, but it's not a really bright, sweet kind of pineapple flavour. It's almost like more, like I said, more of that kind of slightly stewed, almost spiced fruit kind of thing, perhaps. And a little bit of a peachy apricot kind of thing going on in there as well. Perhaps some citrus as well, maybe a little bit of grapefruit rind. Yeah, I like it. It's a nice beer. Let's have a little look at what the kind of full description says for this. Okay, so from the British Hop Association website, Harlequin, which has been trademarked, so I guess they're planning on sticking with this variety and producing more of it if they've gone to the trouble of trademarking the name. Flavour and aroma, tropical fruit flavours and aromas including passion fruit, peach and pineapple. As I've just said, I think I would say yes to the peach and pineapple. Passion fruit, no, not really. Again, like as far as saying that it's tropical flavored, I'm not sure I would say it's kind of a bright sort of tropical fruit flavor, and I'd certainly wouldn't really have picked out passion fruit straight away. Complex bitterness with tropical fruit notes. I think it's quite a complex flavor profile overall. The bitterness, there's a fairly, again, sort of spicy, not harsh but fairly firm kind of English sort of hop character type bitterness to it. I know I didn't actually bitter it with the Harlequin hops, but obviously some of the hops that went into the boil from the Harlequin are going to contribute to that bittering as well. So the 60-minute edition wasn't Harlequin is what I'm saying, but anywho, and they say flavour intensity 9 out of 10. I would say it's definitely quite an intense flavour for an English hop for sure. Would I put it up at sort of 9 out of 10 when you put that in the context of things like Citra and Mosaic? Maybe not. I think, if that's a scale for sort of British hops, then yes. For hops generally, I wouldn't put it up at a sort of a 9 out of 10. I would maybe say 7 or 8-ish. But I mean, what's that scale based on anyway? That's just a made up number, to be fair. And then they just go on to say that it's a dual purpose hop, which excels when used in late and dry hopping and offers smooth bittering characteristics. It's a daughter of Godiva hops. And I don't really know much about Godiva hops, but apart from it being quite an older English variety, possibly. High myrcene content, which is one of the hop oils that gives you a lot of the fruit flavours. Normally, quite a bit of kind of citrus or orangey type flavours, I think, with that one. Grapefruit flavours, that kind of thing would often be the case, but obviously it depends on the balance of the other oils that are in there with it as well. For me, this is definitely, like, as far as English hops go, right up there with, as far as the new varieties go, something that's actually is delivering some fairly strong fruit flavours. Would I go, straight in saying it's full of tropical fruit flavour and, 9 out of 10 flavour intensity and all that kind of stuff? Again, in the context of like other varieties that are around, particularly the New World ones, I mean, it's a different flavour experience to those. For me, it's still quite distinctly English in terms of the overall hop character, but it's then bringing in some of those fruity flavours as well. In a nice way, I've got to say, it is quite an enjoyable beer and a very complex kind of hop flavour. So in this sort of beer, like golden ales and things like that, I think it will work really well. I wouldn't go out and try and make, let's say, like a Nipah with this hop. I'm not sure that would work too well, but certainly like pale ales and IPAs and things like that in the more traditional sense could work really well with this. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it so far. As I did with the last beer, I did send this one out to the chaps on the hop edition. So we'll pop over to the hop edition and show you what they were thinking of this beer when they tasted it. There's also a couple of other people who got it in the post who will hopefully be drinking it along with us on the hop edition episode that these clips are taken from. So hopefully those guys enjoy this beer, and be interesting to see what flavours they pick out from it, especially bearing in mind that they're going into it blind as before. I've not told them what the hop is, so let's see what they think.
I'll just preface this with the fact that I just ate a bag of onion rings, which probably wasn't the wisest move.
Yeah, Owen's gone for the BJCP recommended palate cleansing technique of scoffing a bag of onion rings prior to the beer tasting.
So if you taste
you'll
onions,
see
it's
all
not
the
that.
top level judges doing this at competitions, just sort of
I'm getting a garlicky oniony.
Either those or pickled onion Monster Munch are the highly recommended snacks, I think.
I think the only thing that could possibly be
don't
worse
get any flavour carryover.
Buffalo wings would probably be the only thing that could be worse.
Can I make my first stab, Tricky, and see if this is what's meant to come through? I'm getting strawberry on the aroma.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and then even when I'm tasting it, it's like strawberries and cream. It's I really, really like this. Like, so when you reveal what hop it is, I'll definitely need to get that because.
So which So which hop is it that's supposed to give you like a strawberry and cream thing?
I think it's at Belma.
Is it Belma?
See, when I was first tasting this, I wouldn't have said strawberries and cream, but now that you've said it, I'm like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
strawberries and cream.
Yeah.
I was thinking I could smell licorice before Andy said strawberries and cream.
Didn't you say licorice on the last bit?
Because at first I was thinking berries.
I did, yeah.
I was like, there's a berry thing going on, and then I was just like,
Yeah.
holy shit, it's total strawberry.
I went hedgerow. I was like, yeah.
I'm getting this weird, I want to say apricot, but almost peach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But don't forget,
I do get some stone fruit stuff off of this, definitely.
Could USO5 not give you peach as well, though?
Some people say it does, but I mean,
not to this extent.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that it tasted this much.
Yeah.
Do you know, weirdly enough, Lukey Stevens has just said pear and melon, and I'm starting to get honeydew melon, specifically honeydew melon.
It's like a little bit of an earthy undertone to it.
I think that's the pickled onion, Chris.
No, I think there is
woody. There's like a woody.
I think
earthy.
there's some earthiness and maybe a little bit of that sort of floral spiciness that you get with certain hops, perhaps.
Thanks, Tricky. Fuck you, Andy.
I'm just getting pure juice, like real fruit, berry is what's coming through. Like Chris was saying, the apricot thing and the peach.
Yeah. I think hedgerow kind of berries and various other things going on there.
I don't think it's. I wouldn't say it's floral. For me, it's more. I think it's that for me. This one anyway tastes like it's not a UK hop. I would say it's probably more American. But you boys
I'm not going to say anything yet.
Obviously, Chicky, So it's clearly a UK. So it's Harlequin. It's got to be Harlequin. You're trying to fuck with, because obviously the last one you didn't have the UK hop, and we're all like, it's got to be.
Right. I'm not getting any lime, so that puts New Zealand out.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris is going to go by process of elimination.
Yeah. You see, I thought I got lime. The first thing I smelled, I thought went lime.
I'm not getting lime at all. But what I am getting, weirdly enough, the Australians, the Australian hops, specifically Vic Secret and all that sort of stuff, and Galaxy specifically, I always get
peppery,
sweet stone fruit, a little bit of pepper,
not
a lot of pepper, more like a tang than anything else, almost pink peppercorn rather than black pepper. I'm getting a little bit of that. So this is either a hop that's from Australia or one that's been brought in and is a daughter of an Australian. That's where I'm going.
A lot of people say Vic Secret's a bit pineapple-y as well. Do you get any of that?
I'm not getting any stone fruit. I'm not getting any tropical fruit. Not much anyway, other than a little bit of peach. But that's more stone fruit than it is tropical fruit.
Yeah.
Apricot, peach, strawberry. Yeah.
If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say European. Excellent. I'd say it's European rather than English.
Yeah,
European.
I might be leaning towards maybe German. I might be thinking possibly Huell melon or maybe Belma. I don't know if Belma is.
I don't think Tricky would do Huell melon to us, to be fair. It doesn't taste anything like Huell melon. I've used Huell melon quite a lot, and this is not what I got from Huell melon. I would say this is European. I would say it's too fruity to be English, but I'd say it may well be one of the newer European ones.
Okay. You got any specific variety in mind?
There's too much flavour from this.
I don't know. I'm thinking possibly Pato, Zappa.
Okay. I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased because it's my beer, but I'm going in for another one.
Yeah.
It is quite tasty.
This is, it was 100 grams, Tricky.
As it warms up, you're getting more of that earthiness come through.
Well, I think also the bitterness. I think the bitterness kind of does accentuate a little bit of that earthiness on the flavour.
Yeah, I found the bitterness on this one was a little bit more, I don't know, maybe assertive than on the previous beer.
I'm getting licorice on the nose, fucking maximum now. Andy, give it a swirl. Warm it up and then give it a swirl.
If you give it a swirl,
mine's just nice and warm. It's not cold.
If you give it a swirl, you get a big old licorice thing.
I'm getting strawberries.
Okay, so Andy, where do you think it's from?
I think it's American.
Okay. Any specific varieties?
What's that said? Was it not Belmar or something like that?
That's Australian though, isn't it?
Oh, what was that?
No, it's American.
Is it?
Belmar? Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Owen, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the same as Andy. I think it might be Belmar. Yeah, I'm going to go Belmar.
Do you know?
I've done you all again here.
Yeah.
I haven't got a fucking clue.
It'll be Harlequin.
It is Harlequin.
Scumbag.
Yes.
I knew you were going to do that.
It's the double bluff.
It's fucking amazing.
That is way too fruity to be English.
Way. This is really excellent.
So,
do you know the only thing that this proves out, though? The only thing that this proves, Tricky, is that none of us have got a fucking clue what we're talking about.
But anyway, yeah, so it is a UK hop. I think it is.
Thanks, Tricky.
One of the newer UK hops that is actually kind of delivering on the fruitiness.
Yeah,
I don't think it's like necessarily hitting that like big tropical, it's not a sort of Citra or Mosaic killer, is it? But it's definitely
Tricky. You only put 100 grams in. There's only 100 grams in this.
That is true. That is something to be considered.
Which for me is insane.
I think actually, like when you think about the fact that you've only put 100 grams in this beer, also,
it's packed.
It kind of indicates like when you really start to search a beer, when you really like we have just really gone to town on it. I think you actually find a lot more depth in a beer without having to add 500 grams of hops. It's not leaping out the glass by any means, right? But you can find some depth and complexity in the beer, and a Tricky, great brewing. This is a really quality beer.
Yeah, I think commercially this would do very, very well because the quantities are probably not. It's probably cheap enough to produce for a brewery, and it's got bags of flavour.
Okay, there you go, guys. So, some interesting thoughts there from the others. And, as I said, it's quite a complex kind of hop flavour. So I think you will, get lots of different flavours out of this, potentially, depending on your own palate and your expectation of the beer and the beer that you put it into. So definitely one that's worth a try, though. So look out for Harlequin Hops. If you want to see more from the Hop Edition, then you can obviously go over to see the YouTube channel where we actually do the podcast live, and we've also got the link to the website in the description where you can pick up the actual edited podcasts as well, which are also available on most of the major podcasting platforms. So go and check that out as well. Any suggestions for other hops that you'd like to see me try out, then stick a comment in the box below, and I'll see you soon for another one. Cheers.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.